Hello YouTube, Dave here again. I am back after taking a week off, and I do appreciate everybody's understanding and support with that. It was just a rough couple of weeks. The whole family ended up getting sick, and we were testing negative for the bad thing, but it turns out that you can actually have it and not test positive on the rapid test, which is what we did. So our daughter ended up testing positive, and she got sick around the exact same time as us with the exact same kind of symptoms, although much more mild, thankfully, than what myself or especially my wife went through. She got hit the hardest, but we're all on the mend now, feeling better. It's been over 2 weeks for us now, so we're all good. So I'm back to working on some videos, and I will have an update as to what the next couple of videos I'm going to be working on are. And yeah, but before I get into that, just a simple, fun little video to ease myself back into it. I have a few pickups here, some things that I have added to my collection over the last, few weeks, right before we got sick, and after we all were, finally cleared from, quarantine and all that stuff. So I got a few things to show here, as well as a couple of products sent to me by Paizo, which will factor into some of the upcoming videos here. So yeah, let's just get right into it, I guess. So this past weekend, I said this when we got to the 2 week mark after we first got sick. So we were by all guidelines, like even the oldest of guidelines, which is kind of what we prefer to go by. We were in the clear. So I went to my local game store where I had some store credit. And I picked up a couple of things that at the end of the day only ended up costing me about $2, which is awesome. And there are two things that I really was very interested in picking up. So the first thing here is the Dungeons and Dragons frameworks. So this is a new product line from WizKids, and it is essentially almost like a model kit for creating a D&D mini. And what it is, it's a singular miniature, but it has some options you can use, some alternate pieces you can put on there to customize it the way that you want it to. So several people could buy the same kit and all have different miniatures in the end based off of the poses of some of the pieces, the orientation of some of the pieces, or just some of the options that they chose. And I don't know if I'm actually going to make this on video or not. I might just keep it sealed. But the one that I had to get, because most of them are like, player character, options, but the one that I had to have was this one here. So this is the Frameworks Beholder miniature. So it only has one miniature, and you can kind of see from the Frameworks logo that it is kind of, it looks like, like the old model kits that you would get where you have to, cut the pieces out. I actually did recently pick up an X-Acto knife for my Big Eagle repaint video and project, so I actually do have like a really good knife now, so I can actually cut the pieces off and not have like really obvious signs that it was cut from, I think it's called a sprue. It's been a while since I've made models, but really cool stuff. I love the packaging here, just the coloration on the front, kind of a fiery look to it, but it actually, it highlights the beholder, I think, really well. I kind of wish there was a beholder in the background of the picture instead of the dragon, but I think that's just the same artwork that's on all of these products. Which is still cool. I think so. The player ones are like blue colored for their packaging, and they are also smaller box than this one, but it's a good size box. This retails in Canada for $39.99, so it was kind of expensive, and I didn't pick it up when it first came out because I didn't feel like spending $40 on a single plastic miniature. But having store credit that had been built up, and being able to use that was perfectly fine. That's it was a lot easier to get something that I wouldn't normally, that was normally a little too cost prohibitive for me when it essentially cost me like $1 at the end of the day. So really cool. And if you take a look on the back, you can kind of get an idea of how this works. So you have the base beholder body, and then you have the different options that you can put on there to customize it. So you have a couple of different choices for the jaws. You have some different options for like where the eye is, and it even comes with the little teeny tiny. I think this is in here. It even comes with like a little beholder, like an eyeball beholder, which is awesome. Or I think they call them gazers now. I don't think they call them eyeball. I've got my editions all mixed up, so I'm probably wrong because I usually am. But they also have like just a ton of options for the eye stalks, which is where the bulk of your customization is going to come in. It's a really cool concept for a product line, and I love the idea of having that sort of flexibility with your miniature, so that you can kind of customize it the way that you want. And they typically give you quite a few options. So the idea is something that I think is really, really good. The one thing I would say is, at least, the Canadian prices, because that's what I have to go off of, because that's where I live. Like, it's just a little too expensive for a single miniature. Now, if they would have had enough pieces to make two of them, and have two different ones that you can sort of pick and choose how you do them, like that, I think would have been a lot better. Or if they would have just cut the price down, maybe a little bit. Like, this is something that I would absolutely pay. I would pay maybe, $30 for instead of 40. So I don't know. It's a cool concept. It is a little pricey, at least here in Nova Scotia, but it is an interesting concept. And who knows? I might actually try to put one of these together on camera. I believe it's also, I think it's primed. I'm not entirely. No, primer is not included. So it shows these look like the unpainted minis, like the same color as their primer, but they're not actually primed. So that's good to know. So anyway, but yeah, Beholder's favorite monster, had to pick that up. Once I realized that I didn't have to spend my own money on it, because I built up enough credit, then yeah, good stuff there. All right, the next thing that I picked up was, again, another thing that the reason I picked it up is because I had that credit that I wanted to use. We had been in pretty rough shape for a couple of weeks, and we kind of all wanted to treat ourselves a little bit once we were feeling better. So this is something that technically I already have, but this is an updated version of it, and that is the Call of Cthulhu 7th edition starter set. So this is the 40th anniversary re-release of the starter set. I, again, don't know if I'm going to actually open this up and unbox it or anything, or if I'm just going to keep it sealed. But the Call of Cthulhu starter set is one of the best starter sets out there. Of all the starter sets that I own, if it's not my number one, then it's, a very, very close number two, and so close that depending on the day of the week, it might, sort of change between 1 and 2. But the Call of Cthulhu 7th edition starter set is absolutely fantastic. It has character creation rules. It has all the rules that you really need to create your own Call of Cthulhu. And so it says all you need to enjoy horror role-playing, and it really is. The only thing that's kind of missing from it is like spell books, the sort of like mystical tomes in the Call of Cthulhu. And of course it's not going to have a lot of the creatures, but you can sort of make up your own once you get a feel for the game. But yeah, awesome starter set. The contents in here are the same as the one that I've already done videos on. So it does have Alone Against the Flames, which is the solo adventure, which I did a run through of a while back, and it did not go very well for me. It has the same different adventures in here as well. At least they look the exact same. Paper Chase, Edge of Darkness, and Dead Man Stomp. I think those are the same ones. I'll have to actually look and compare. If they are different, then I will actually do like an unboxing here. But the contents, like I said, are pretty much the same as far as I know. But it is updated. I guess there's like errata and some changes that were made to certain aspects of it, but overall, it is very much, sort of the same idea as the original starter set, with a lot of the same contents in here, but that's fine. It was a great set, and again, since I only paid $2 for the two things that I just showed, then, basically $1 something each was, well worth it for me. So again, love Call of Cthulhu 7th edition. So yeah, I'm happy to add this to the collection as well. All right, so I have one thing I'm going to show that was sent by Paizo before I get into a couple of items that I have purchased, and then we'll get back to the stuff from Paizo. Earlier at the end of the week, I did get a delivery from Paizo for some stuff here, and one of the things that was in there, and I love these to death, is the Starfinder flip mat, Star Knight starships. So this is just a map with some locations from different starships that you can use. That looks sort of almost like a engine core kind of thing, with like the catwalks and the terminals, which I think is kind of cool. And then you've got this other section here, which looks like it has some crew quarters and like the conference table kind of area. So there's some cool stuff included in here. I think this is a really neat map and something that I would try to use. I kind of wish it was like a full ship, but I think some of those ships get really, really big, so they just want to include some important areas to use, which is totally fine. I don't know if I'll be doing an actual review video for this, so I'm showing it off here in the pickups video, just because, like I said, right now at this point in time, I simply don't have the room to open up the map and be able to show it all on camera. Just the space that I record on is limited, which is, it's funny because I had somebody accuse me of not actually owning these. Apparently they think that Paizo sends this stuff and then I have to return it because I don't open it. Like, that's not the case. I just don't have the room, so there's no point in opening up the map if I don't have the room to show it. So like I always zoom in. I shouldn't say zoom in. I always hold this up close to the camera so you can see the full sides of the map. So you can get, this is everything that's on the map. Like, it's not excluding anything. Like, these aren't previews. Those are exactly what's on there. So, anyway, I love these things. I think they're great. One of my favorite Starfinder adventures that I ever ran was 100% improvised, based off of a map I bought just a couple of days ago. So, awesome stuff. I love those. All right, so I lied a little bit. I've got one, so I'm going to alternate here a little bit between items that I've purchased and some stuff that was sent to me. So the remaining stuff is all Pathfinder 2e. And the first one here that I want to show is the Pathfinder 2nd edition Book of the Dead. This is the Pocket Edition. I love me some Pocket Edition books. I do want to collect, I want to have the entire collection of these Pocket Editions. And I am considering, the books that I have duplicates for. I have considered the idea of, giving them away or giving them to somebody or doing something with them, but I'm not fully set on that yet. It's something that I might consider, especially if it's unlikely that I'm going to be doing videos on them in the future because I've already covered them or whatever. But I do love Pocket Editions. My entire Pathfinder 1st Edition collection, except for the Game Master screen and the starter set, are all Pocket Editions. So these things are great. And Book of the Dead was just an awesome, awesome book. So it's honestly my favorite Pathfinder 2nd Edition book so far. All right, so that was something that I picked up myself, but this is something that was sent to me. This is the first installment in the Bloodlord's Adventure Path Zombie Feast, and this takes place in one of my favorite Golarion locations, the undead, not infested, but the city, the nation where undead coexist alongside of living creatures, and that is Geb. It's sort of the... undead are part of the population, and they even utilize zombies in ways that I've heard players talk about like years ago. And essentially, like, they have zombies work as just, labor, because you don't have to pay them. They don't require any things to live. Like, you don't have to feed them or anything like that. And you can have them do the monotonous tasks that nobody else really wants to do. So you have like zombie hordes that, well, not hordes, that's the wrong term. Groups of zombies that like work fields for crops. Geb is a very large supplier of food to other nations, kind of surrounding it, to the point where, they are like, the other nations are kind of dependent on Geb's food production, and they can produce, all this food because they can have these undead creatures sort of tend to it day and night, tirelessly, and it's just a really cool concept. The adventure itself revolves around an ambitious advisor to the undead god king of Geb, who he basically wants to instigate a war with the nearby nations and essentially like take them over and create this poison that can kill them, their enemies en masse, but also leave them susceptible to being like really easily brought back as undead creatures. So that multiple creatures can be brought back with a simple like ritual kind of thing. It's a really interesting concept. I actually really like what I've looked through it so far. And undead, I love undead, as you can tell what I said with the Book of the Dead. So this is an adventure path, and I'm actually really excited about. So looking forward to more of those, and to getting a video on that out somewhat, hopefully shortly. All right, so another thing that was sent to me by Paizo, and this is directly related to the last thing that I purchased, but what we have here is the Pathfinder 2nd Edition Dark Archive. This book is awesome. So this is sort of, occult rituals, secret societies are talked about in this book, and it has these cryptids, these sort of like creatures of legend or, folktale or myth, and the rules for creating them, and it's just absolutely awesome. The cryptids are basically templates that you can apply to other creatures, but they give them these, these unique abilities. One of my favorite ones, I think actually my favorite one overall, is called like a rumored creature. And essentially the rumored creature thrives on people being aware of it and scared of it, kind of thing. So, the more people that are aware of it, like the stronger the creature kind of gets. And if, fewer people are aware of it, or like if knowledge of it starts to fade, then the creature starts to get weaker. But it has abilities that allows it to sort of manipulate its form based off of various rumors that people spread about it. So if someone describes it looking one way and another person describes it as looking another way, if enough people are aware of this, like the creature can actually shift its form back and forth between those different types, which I think is kind of cool. And if all knowledge of the creature is lost, like all written records are destroyed, and any living witnesses that had seen it, if they're all gone, then the creature ceases to exist. So it's just kind of neat. It's this folklore creature that can change itself based on the way that people sort of spin tales of it. Excuse me. And it has an ability where if you try to research it, there's a strong chance that you get incorrect information back. So not only can it sort of change its form based off of varying descriptions and varying abilities that it's described to have, but it actually has an innate ability that can generate those discrepancies. I just think it's just a really cool concept. There's a lot of cool stuff in this book. It has the psychic class and the thaumaturge class, and I love the thaumaturge class, which I'll talk about it more when I get to the review video. But yeah, absolutely love what I've been reading in this book. I don't know if I like it more than Book of the Dead, but it is definitely a very close second there. And to go along with that, in fact, actually, before, so it was after the order was shipped out, but, a couple of weeks before it arrived, right before we ended up all getting sick, unfortunately, I went to my local game store, and the same day that I picked up the pocket edition of Book of the Dead, I also picked up the pocket edition of Dark Archive, because I knew I wanted it anyway. And it was a chance to read the book a little bit before the hardcover actually arrived. So I can use the hardcover for videos and just have the pocket edition to reference, when running Pathfinder 2nd Edition. So just, again, absolutely love this stuff. Just fantastic. Pocket editions are amazing. I can't say enough good things about them. So those are the recent additions to my collection. So like I said, some of the stuff was, sent to me for review purposes by the great folks at Paizo, but there's things that I picked up as well, including for Pathfinder 2nd Edition, and considering that they're books that I was sent already for review, or was going to get for review, I think that just goes to show how much I love these books and everything. So awesome stuff. So before I get into Before I end the video here, there's one last thing that I did want to mention, and that was a little update for what's going to be happening over the course of the next few days, the next few videos I'm going to be working on. So while I was in recovery mode, I did put out a poll asking people essentially, you know, what video they wanted to see when I came back in terms of like, you know, bigger videos, ones that take a little more time. And the options were my spoiler-free review of Journey Through Radiant Citadel, because I don't like doing spoiler reviews of brand new adventure books because, you know, people might be playing through them, and I don't want to be the person that upsets a game because a player finds out everything that they need to know. But so my spoiler-free review was an option, a description going into showcasing the cryptids from Dark Archive was an option. Getting back to my Through the Ages History of the Ranger video with my D&D 4th Edition Essentials video, and the last option was just something I threw on there just because of something that I thought was kind of a neat idea, and it's also leading into the next video that I'm going to be working on as well. But the option was just my top 10 favorite Pathfinder 2nd Edition books. And that ended up actually winning the poll, which I was kind of surprised by. The Radiant Citadel book came in second, the Ranger video came in third, and fourth was going through the cryptids, which I'm just going to do in the Dark Archive review anyway, so I don't need that to be a separate video, which is fine. So I'm kind of do those top three videos sort of in order, but when I was thinking about my top 10 favorite Pathfinder 2nd Edition books, it got me thinking about the Lost Omens series. And with Pathfinder 2nd Edition in general, enough stuff comes out. Like, it's a very well-supported system in terms of new releases, but not necessarily an overwhelming number of releases. But it's something where there's enough new things from year to year that I kind of feel like another couple of videos for buyer's guides might be in order. So the next video I'm going to be recording, I'm recording this on Sunday night, or technically Monday morning now, it is after midnight, is the top 10 Pathfinder 2nd Edition books, in my opinion. But I also want to do some Pathfinder 2nd Edition buyer's guide videos, because there's a lot of really great Pathfinder products out there, and I kind of want to showcase them. And I've decided to break them down, at least what I think to be, is sort of in a logical way. So the first video that I actually want to do is a buyer's guide for the Lost Omens series of books. So the Lost Omens is like your world building, your like heavy flavor text kind of stuff, and it's a really fantastic series, but there's a lot of options out there. And I thought with the buyer's guide, I would present what I believe to be the most logical order to kind of buy the books in. You know, and which ones I think you should definitely go for as early as possible, and which ones are, you know, they're all good books, like, so don't get me wrong there. But the other, like, so towards the end of the list, it's more like which ones are more niche enough that, you know, you don't have to go out of your way unless you really want to incorporate the idea, the theme of the book into your campaign. So I want to do a buyer's guide for that, and then I want to do a buyer's guide for just the rule books, because like the Lost Omens is world building, it's flavor expanding stuff, but there's a pretty decent amount of just new options, as well as just other rule books for Pathfinder 2nd Edition. So the first couple of videos I'm going to be working on, the first one is my top 10 favorite Pathfinder 2nd Edition books. I'm going to do my buyer's guide, going over all of the Lost Omens books that have been released as of, you know, early August 2022, and that list will probably be out. In fact, it's going to be outdated probably by the time, you know, shortly after it comes out. But I still think it's important to do, so I'm going to, you know, be doing that one. And then I'll do my Radiant Citadel video next after that, and then the video after that will be my buyer's guide for the rules. And I'll probably also do a buyer's guide for the accessories as well, or at least a number of the accessories. But yeah, I like I said, I love Pathfinder 2nd Edition, and I just want to do more stuff to help promote it. and reviews and everything, and discussing or flipping through and giving impressions of books, like that's all well and good, but sometimes just like an idea of where to start and sort of, you know, a map for progressing through and adding stuff to your collection. I think that's stuff that's really helpful too. So anyway, so that's basically my plans upcoming. I also will be getting back into my Through the Ages series. So that'll be starting, I'll be restarting that hopefully next week as well. And I do want to get back into my Age of Worms series as well. The reason it's been a little while is because I have so much stuff that I don't have room for anymore, or space for anymore, as I've kind of just like stacked things in places, and I misplaced the next installment that I was supposed to be looking at. And it took me a while to find it. So I do have it now. So I'll be doing that video in the next, sometime this month anyway, because I want to get back into that series as well. Anyway, that out of the way, I just again want to thank everybody for their support and their understanding. You know, taking a little bit of time off just to recover and get back to the point where just I have the energy to try making videos again. I really do appreciate it. And yeah, let me know in the comments below what are some of the cool things that you guys have added to your collection over the last little while. I've heard some really awesome things from you guys, so just, you know, it's always great to hear the cool things that you guys managed to find. And it doesn't have to be related to the things that I have here, just anything at all. You know, it's always cool to hear from you guys. Anyway, thank you again very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you all next time. Until then, take care.